Hello everybody, thank you for checking out this, my latest LEGO Worlds video. After my last effort, the one I called the skyscraper, I was a bit stuck over what I could do next. The thing was though, that it hadn't really been a skyscraper at all, not when you compare it to the really tall, famously Art Deco structures that you associate with Manhattan Island in New York. Compared with those, my building had just been a slightly Gothic-looking tower, only reaching a height of 24 floors after all. There was only one way I could go after that. I had to try to build a New York-style proper skyscraper, and what better one to try to emulate than the most iconic Art Deco building in the world, the famous Chrysler Building. I knew this was going to be a real challenge, especially when it came to the highly distinctive stainless steel dome structure on the top with its sunburst triangular windows. I didn't even know if it was going to be possible to recreate something looking a bit like that. But when I looked on YouTube to see what other people had made of it, it seemed that quite a lot of folk had used Minecraft to build virtual models of the Chrysler Building, whereas I wanted to build my model using LEGO Worlds, with its much better range of different shaped bricks rather than just uniform square blocks. I may be wrong, but has anybody built this in LEGO Worlds before? One of the main drawbacks with building something so huge in LEGO Worlds is that you can't step back far enough to look at it all at once without it breaking up into pixelated, oversimplified blocks. As you can see here, the walls start disappearing, leaving just the floors inside, and the dome keeps breaking up into random blocks too. Here's how it looks as you approach it from the spaceship. It starts off all blocky and with much of the detail missing, but then gradually fills in as you get nearer, though of course you can only then see small sections of the building once you're close enough for the details to fully appear. On the real building, of course, there are shop front style windows all round the ground floor. But I chose to just put in these reinforced arches with windows in them, just to make it look stronger around the base and better able to carry the weight of the tall building above. I also made my main entrances, front and rear, a bit wider than they should have been compared to the real thing. That's because I didn't study the real building properly before I started, so I do apologise for that, and I hope that doesn't upset the purists among you. I have made the entrances very Art Deco though, in my defence. I have to say also that you're going to find a great many things very different on my building here compared to the actual Chrysler Building. That's why I've titled this video the Chrysler Inspired Building. This is only inspired by the real Chrysler Building, and I've made no real attempt to produce a faithful copy of how it looks in real life. For example, the main tower section has had to be made a great deal shorter here, proportion-wise, compared to the real building, because LEGO Worlds does have a height limit, above which you simply cannot move beyond. And I did not want to go to all the trouble of building up to the elaborate dome structure, only to find I'd hit the ceiling and couldn't finish it. That's why there are only 58 floors altogether, far fewer than in the real thing. Another difference is that these grooved out corners on the upper tower part have started much lower down on mine than they do on the real thing. It just sort of seemed right to build it like that at the time, even though that might upset some of you, though I hope it doesn't. It's only a vague look-alike, not a faithful reproduction. I have tried to put in the upper eagle gargoyles, as well as the lower radiator cap ones too. At first I didn't think I'd stand a chance of even trying to represent those, seeing as how they're such elaborate shapes, and the fact that they project out at 45 degrees from the corners. but I did think they were very important features of the building that should be there if it was at all possible. So, as you can see, I have managed to represent them in the end. I had the most fun though when I came to construct the stainless steel dome section at the top, with its tiers of radiating sunburst windows. Yes, it took a lot of time and even more patience, but I found it a great deal of fun to create this, and the fact that I was able to use shiny stainless steel coloured bricks to build it with just made the whole thing look more impressive at the end of the day. And it has floors and stairs inside it too. Shall we go in and have a look? At first I was going to build a conventional stairwell like this that kept going round and round as we climbed up. But I quickly realised that it would make this video really boring, just climbing up and round and up and round all the time. Up and round, up and round. So by the time I reached the 10th floor, I abandoned that idea. Instead, I arranged new flights of stairs in long straight lines from one end of the building to the other, so we could run up several floors at a time very quickly. Bear with me here. It's a bit dark in here, isn't it? I suppose I should have put some ceiling lighting in, but to be quite honest, after all the time and effort I'd spent putting in the floors and the staircases, I just couldn't be bothered going back and putting lights in as well. All of these floors are pretty much the same, but we need to get up to the 38th and 39th floors before we find anything of any significance. 17th, 18th, 19th. I'm going to take you back in time now to when I reached here originally, before the building had got any higher and before I built the dome. Time warp coming up. Oh, wow, did you feel that? We've now gone back to before I built the dome, when all this top of the building was still open to the sky like this, and I'd reached the point where the dome needed to begin. I'd started to measure up with beams and markers so that I could find the exact centre point of the building and mark it with a temporary visible column around which the four sides of the complex dome could be positioned with perfect symmetry. The next stage was building the outlines of the first semicircular arches on the top of the outer walls, like this. You can see I'd put the red central marker column in place now as well. Then I started on the second arches. I got those outlines up. Then, when I'd completed those, with the faces in place, complete with triangular windows, I started constructing the third tier of arches. Next we jumped to the 5th tier, and it's looking quite busy up there now from the inside. Next I began filling in the profiles behind the 5th arches, and then made a start on the 6th tier. Finally, I completed the 7th and 8th tiers, which formed the base for the thin spire right at the very top. Although the outside was all complete, apart from my adding the 2 lots of gargoyles further down, the inside of the dome was still completely empty, so I needed to get some floors and some stairs in there to give us access to climb right up inside to the very top of the building. So, shall we see how it looked once I'd got those all in place? We'll start where we time travelled back before, to the 39th floor, only this time we'll stay in the present. This floor is where I put the eagle gargoyles, so we can go and have another look at those through one of these doors here. Whoops, steady, what are you doing? All right, stop showing off again. as we carry on climbing up, "40, 41, 42, 43, 44, then up to the 45th floor where suddenly the ceilings have got much higher. We're now in the lower beginnings of the stainless steel dome, and I've had to drastically redesign the floors to fit around the arches and the oddly shaped windows up at this level. For this floor I've built this complex arrangement of stairs in the corner here, and that big illuminated ceiling up there carries the 50th floor on the other side of it. Let's climb up and see what's what. I've still numbered those landings to reflect the same heights as the previous floors had been. 46, 47, 48, 49 and 50. We're up above the big ceiling now, and the room's a little bit smaller in this higher tier of the dome. I've just put one single flight of stairs up now to the next level, counting off the floor numbers at their regular heights as we go. So that's 51, 52, 53, and the next level is the 54th floor. Carry on up to 55, 56 and up to 57. The rooms are getting noticeably smaller now, so much so that we're reduced to a ladder to get up to the next level. This tiny room is the 58th floor, but there's yet another final ladder up to the next level if we can manage to negotiate it in 2 stages. Made it. You can barely turn around in this teeny tiny little kiosk of a space at the very top of the building, so there's definitely no number sign in here, but it is actually the 59th floor and the end of the road. It's now impossible to go any higher inside this building, unless you're King Kong and you fancy climbing to the very top of the mast outside. I shouldn't have said that, should I? Here I am standing on the outside of that tiny room at the top. And even that's not high enough, it seems, as I climb up still further to the very base of the topmost mast. What am I going to do now, do you think? I wonder if I could manage to balance right on the very tip at the top. Yep, here I am. What shall I do now? Do a skydive off from here, shall I? Hey, here we go. Mind the sticky out bit. I hope I've got my parachute with me. Ah, that'll do just as well. Safe landing. Well, that's one way to get back down quickly. So there you have it. My Lego World's Chrysler-inspired building.
Once I built a tower up to the sun, bricks, rivets and lime. Once I built a tower, now it's done. Buddy, shall we start to climb? This one's only Lego, just for fun, but boy, it took me some time. Only virtual Lego, now it's done. Buddy, shall we start our climb? diddly up and do da dip and do I boop boop and dooby doo I beep lap and boop I boop and do I bro, we've got some stairs to climb.